Welcome back, Rare Coin Insider. Imagine holding a small, ordinary-looking coin in your hand. A coin so common that millions of people might overlook it every single day, yet hidden within its copper surface could be a story that stretches across centuries, a story of a nation, of craftsmanship, of economic evolution, and of collectors who dedicate their lives to chasing rare treasures. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1 cent USA 1976 coin, a piece that at first glance may seem insignificant, but as we unfold layer after layer, you will begin to see why certain versions of this coin are whispered about in collector circles as being worth unimaginable amounts, even reaching claims of up to $204 million under extremely rare and unique conditions. Now picture the year 1976, a monumental time in American history, marking the 200th anniversary of independence, widely known as the Bicentennial Year. While most people associate this celebration with special quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins that featured unique designs, the humble penny continued its production quietly, unchanged on the surface, yet still part of this historic timeline. The 1 cent coin from 1976 carries with it the same iconic design that had already been in use for decades, but its presence during such a symbolic year adds an emotional and historical depth that collectors often value far beyond its face value. The design of this coin is instantly recognizable. On the front, or obverse, you will find the profile of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected presidents in United States history. This portrait was originally designed by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1976, this design had already become one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Lincoln's calm yet determined expression faces to the right, and above his head, you will see the word Liberty, symbolizing the core value of the nation. To the right side of the coin is the year 1976, marking its place in time, and just below that, depending on where the coin was minted, you may find a small letter known as the mint mark. This mint mark is extremely important when discussing value and rarity. In 1976, pennies were primarily minted in Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Philadelphia typically did not carry a mint mark, while those from Denver had a small D stamped below the date. At first glance, this might seem like a minor detail, but for collectors, this tiny letter can make a significant difference. In rare cases, minting errors or unusual production anomalies tied to these mint marks can dramatically increase the value of a coin. Now turn the coin over, and you will see the reverse design, which features the Lincoln Memorial. This design was introduced in 1959 to replace the earlier wheat ears design, and it remained in use until 2008. What makes this reverse particularly fascinating is that if you look very closely, you can actually see a tiny depiction of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, making this one of the few coins in the world to feature the same person on both sides. Above the memorial, the words, "United States of America," are inscribed, along with the national motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to, out of many, one. Below the memorial, you will find the denomination, 1 cent, clearly stating its value. When it comes to the physical properties of the 1976 penny, it has a standard weight of about 3.11 grams, and is primarily composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition gives the coin its distinct reddish-brown color when it is new, although over time, exposure to air and handling can cause it to darken or develop a patina. The diameter of the coin is approximately 19 millimeters, making it small, lightweight, and easy to overlook, yet durable enough to survive decades of circulation. But here is where things start to get truly interesting. While millions of these coins were produced, not all of them are equal. Some coins may have been struck with errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or incorrect planchets. These errors can turn an otherwise ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Imagine a coin where the date appears slightly doubled, or where the design is misaligned. These small imperfections can make a coin incredibly rare and highly valuable. There are also coins that were never meant to enter circulation, such as proof coins, which are specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets. These coins have a mirror-like finish and are struck with extra care, resulting in sharp details and a stunning appearance. A 1976 proof penny, especially one in perfect condition, can be worth significantly more than a regular circulated coin. Condition plays a massive role in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale, ranging from heavily worn to perfect mint state. A coin that has never been used in circulation and retains its original luster can be worth many times more than one that has been handled extensively. Collectors often use magnification tools to examine even the smallest details, searching for signs of wear, scratches, or unique features that could affect the coin's grade. Now, you might be wondering how a simple penny could ever be associated with a value as high as $204 million. The truth is, such a figure would only apply under the most extraordinary circumstances, such as a one-of-a-kind error, a historically significant specimen, or a coin with a unique story that makes it irreplaceable. In the world of coin collecting, rarity combined with demand can push prices to astonishing levels, especially when wealthy collectors compete to own a piece of history that no one else can possess. As we continue this journey, you will begin to see how factors like historical context, minting variations, collector demand, and even human psychology all come together to shape the value of a coin that most people would simply spend without a second thought. And the deeper we go, the more you will realize that this tiny piece of metal is not just currency, but a gateway into a world filled with mystery, discovery, and the thrill of uncovering hidden treasures. As you continue to explore the story behind the 1-cent USA 1976 coin, you begin to realize that its true intrigue lies not in its face value, but in the hidden layers of rarity and the subtle differences that only trained eyes can detect. To most people, a penny is just a penny, something to be tossed into a jar or forgotten in a drawer, but for collectors, every detail matters, from the sharpness of Lincoln's profile to the tiniest variations in the lettering and surface texture. These details can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. One of the most fascinating aspects of this coin is the possibility of minting errors, which are often the driving force behind extreme valuations. During the minting process, coins are produced at high speeds using powerful machinery, and occasionally, something goes wrong. These errors are not intentional, but when they occur, they create unique pieces that cannot be replicated. For example, a double die error occurs when the coin is struck more than once in slightly different positions, causing the design elements, especially the date and lettering, to appear doubled. If such an error is clearly visible and confirmed, it can significantly increase the coin's desirability. Another type of error that collectors actively search for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned within the press, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin can become, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Imagine holding a coin where a portion of the design is missing, yet the remaining details are perfectly preserved. This kind of imperfection becomes a work of art in the eyes of collectors. There are also rare cases where coins are struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the metal disc used was intended for a different denomination or even a different type of coin altogether. If a 1976 penny were somehow struck on a planchet meant for another coin, its weight, color, and appearance would immediately stand out. Such anomalies are extremely rare and can fetch incredibly high prices at auctions, sometimes reaching tens of thousands, or even more depending on their uniqueness. Beyond errors, the concept of rarity also extends to the number of coins that has survived in pristine condition. While millions of 1976 pennies were minted, very few remain in perfect, uncirculated condition. Over time, coins are exposed to wear, scratches, and environmental factors that degrade their appearance. A coin that has been preserved carefully, maintaining its original shine and sharp details, is considered far more valuable. Collectors often seek coins graded as MS65 or higher, where the surfaces are nearly flawless and the luster is intact. Another layer of value comes from proof coins, which were specially minted for collectors rather than for everyday use. These coins are struck using polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish and exceptional detail. A 1976 proof penny, especially one with a deep cameo contrast where the design appears frosted against a reflective background, can be highly sought after. These coins are typically stored in protective cases to prevent damage, ensuring they remain in top condition for years to come. Now consider the psychology of collecting. Value is not just determined by rarity or condition, but also by demand. When collectors believe that a particular coin is special, whether due to a unique era, historical significance, or simply its connection to a memorable year like 1976, they are willing to pay more to acquire it. This competition can drive prices to astonishing levels, especially when wealthy collectors or investors enter the market. In some cases, a coin's story becomes just as important as its physical characteristics, adding an emotional element that further increases its appeal. The claim of a $204 million value may sound unbelievable, and in most cases, such a figure would only be associated with a truly one-of-a-kind specimen. It could involve a combination of factors, such as an unprecedented minting error, perfect preservation, and a documented history that ties the coin to a significant event or collection. In the world of numismatics, there have been instances where coins have sold for millions, proving that under the right circumstances, even the smallest piece of metal can become one of the most valuable objects on Earth. Another interesting detail about the 1976 penny is its composition. Made primarily of copper, it carries intrinsic value based on the metal itself. While the face value is just 1 cent, the copper content can sometimes be worth more, especially during periods when metal prices rise. However, melting coins for their metal content is generally restricted by law, so their value remains tied to their collectible status rather than their raw material. Collectors also pay close attention to the color classification of pennies, which can be categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. A fully red coin, which retains its original copper shine, is the most desirable, while brown coins, which have darkened over time, are less valuable. This subtle difference in color can significantly impact the price, especially for coins in higher grades. As you dive deeper into the world of coin collecting, you start to see how each factor, design, mint mark, errors, condition, and even color, plays a role in determining value. The 1 cent USA 1976 coin may seem simple on the surface, but it is anything but ordinary when viewed through the lens of a collector. It becomes a puzzle, a treasure hunt, and a piece of history all rolled into one. And as the story unfolds further, you will discover even more surprising details, including how to identify potentially valuable coins in your own collection, what signs to look for, and how ordinary people have stumbled upon rare coins worth fortunes without even realizing it. As the journey continues, you begin to understand that discovering a valuable 1976 penny is not just about luck, it is about observation, patience, and knowing exactly what to look for. Many people unknowingly pass through coins every day that could hold hidden value, simply because they do not realize the importance of small details. The difference between an ordinary coin and a potentially life-changing discovery often comes down to a few tiny features that can only be noticed with careful inspection. Start by imagining yourself examining a 1976 penny under a bright light. The first thing to focus on is the date itself. Look closely at the numbers 1976 and check for any signs of doubling, especially around the edges of the digits. A double die error will often show a shadow-like effect, where the numbers appear slightly duplicated. This is not to be confused with simple wear or damage. True doubling has a distinct, clean separation that can be seen clearly with magnification. If such a feature is present, the coin immediately becomes far more interesting. Next, shift your attention to the mint mark. If the coin has a small D beneath the date, it means it was minted in Denver. Carefully inspect this letter for any irregularities. Sometimes, mint marks can appear slightly misplaced, tilted, or even doubled due to errors during production. In rare situations, a mint mark might be missing entirely when it should be present, or appear on a coin where it normally would not. These anomalies are highly sought after by collectors because they indicate something unusual occurred during the minting process. Now observe the overall alignment of the coin's design. Hold it straight and see if everything appears centered. If the design seems shifted toward one side, you may be looking at an off-center strike. The more off-center the design is, while still keeping the date visible, the more valuable the coin can become. Some collectors specifically look for coins that are dramatically misaligned because they are visually striking and rare. Another important factor is the surface quality. Run your eyes across the coin's texture and look for unusual marks that do not appear to be from regular wear. Die cracks, for example, can appear as raised lines on the coin's surface, caused by a crack in the die used to strike the coin. These cracks can create unique patterns, almost like fingerprints, making each coin one of a kind. While small cracks might not add much value, larger or more distinctive ones can attract serious interest from collectors. Then comes the color, a detail that many beginners overlook but experienced collectors treat as extremely important. A bright, reddish coin that still reflects light beautifully is considered far superior to a dull, brown coin. This original luster is often referred to as mint red, and coins that retain this color after decades are rare. If your 1976 penny still shines with that fresh copper tone, it could be significantly more valuable than one that has darkened over time. You also need to consider the edges of the coin. Although pennies do not have reeded edges like some other coins, examining the rim can still reveal important clues. A weak or incomplete rim might indicate a striking issue, while a perfectly sharp and well-defined rim suggests a strong strike and better overall condition. Collectors often pay close attention to these subtle features because they reflect the quality of the minting process. Now imagine taking your coin and comparing it with others from the same year. You might start to notice slight differences in detail, sharpness, and overall appearance. These variations can be the result of different die states, meaning the tools used to strike the coins were at different stages of wear. Early strikes from a fresh die tend to have sharper details, while later strikes may appear softer as the die wears down. Identifying these differences can help determine how early or late in the production cycle your coin was made, which can influence its desirability. Another fascinating aspect is how coins are graded professionally. When collectors believe they have something valuable, they often send their coins to grading services where experts evaluate them under controlled conditions. These professionals assign a grade based on factors like luster, strike quality, and the number of imperfections. A high-grade coin, especially one close to perfect, can command a much higher price in the market. This is why proper storage is crucial. Even a small scratch or fingerprint can reduce a coin's grade and, therefore, its value. It is also important to understand that the coin market is constantly changing. Prices can rise and fall based on trends, demand, and new discoveries. A coin that might be worth a modest amount today could become highly valuable in the future if interest increases, or if new information about its rarity comes to light. This dynamic nature of the market is what keeps collectors engaged, always searching, always learning, and always hoping to uncover something extraordinary. And then, there are the stories, the moments that make coin collecting truly magical. There have been instances where people found rare coins in pocket change, old jars, or inherited collections, completely unaware of their worth. Imagine discovering that a coin you have had for years is actually a rare specimen sought after by collectors worldwide. These stories fuel the excitement and keep the dream alive that anyone, at any time, could stumble upon a hidden treasure. As you go deeper into this world, the 1976 penny transforms from a simple coin into a symbol of possibility. It represents the idea that value is not always obvious, that sometimes the most extraordinary things are hidden in plain sight. And as we move forward, you will uncover even more insights, including how collectors buy and sell these coins, how auctions work, and what steps you can take if you believe you have found something truly valuable. As we reach the final stage of this journey, everything about the 1-cent USA 1976 coin comes together like pieces of a puzzle that slowly reveal a much bigger picture than anyone expects from something so small. By now, you understand that this coin is not just a piece of copper struck in a minting press, but a reflection of history, human error, craftsmanship, and the endless curiosity of collectors who search for meaning in the smallest details. In the real world of coin collecting, value is never fixed. It is shaped in real time by auctions, private sales, dealer networks, and collector demand that can change overnight. A coin that sits in someone's drawer for decades might suddenly become the center of attention if a similar specimen sells at a high-profile auction. This ripple effect is what drives excitement in the numismatic world. When a rare 1976 penny with a unique mint error or extraordinary condition appears on the market, collectors do not simply see metal, they see opportunity, history, and competition. Auction houses play a major role in this ecosystem. When a coin is graded at a very high level or identified as having a rare error, it may be submitted to major auction platforms where serious collectors and investors gather. In these environments, bidding can escalate quickly, especially if multiple buyers believe they are looking at something truly one of a kind. This competitive atmosphere is one of the reasons why rare coins sometimes achieve astonishing prices, far beyond what an average person would expect from something originally worth 1 cent. Now, when people talk about extreme valuations like $204 million, it is important to understand this in context. Such figures are not representative of normal market behavior. Instead, they reflect hypothetical scenarios where a coin might be considered absolutely unique in existence, tied to an extraordinary historical narrative, or combined with multiple extreme rarity factors such as perfect condition, unknown minting anomaly, and unmatched collector demand. In the real numismatic world, even the most valuable pennies recorded typically reach into the millions at most under exceptional circumstances. But the fascination with higher numbers continues because it reflects the imagination and passion people have for rare discoveries. What truly keeps the 1976 penny interesting is that it exists in enormous quantity, yet still holds the possibility of hidden variation. That contrast between common production and rare exception is what fuels the entire search. Somewhere out there, in old collections, jars, or forgotten boxes, there could be coins with unnoticed errors or preserved specimens that have never been professionally evaluated. This uncertainty is what keeps collectors searching every single day. Collectors themselves form a unique community. Some are investors looking for profit, others are historians preserving artifacts, and many are simply enthusiasts who enjoy the thrill of discovery. They share knowledge, compare findings, and study minute details that most people would never notice. To them, a coin is not just currency, it is evidence of a moment in time, preserved in metal. If you ever come across a 1976 penny, the most important thing is to slow down and observe it carefully. Look at the condition, the details, the mint mark, and any unusual characteristics. Even if it does not turn out to be a rare specimen, the process of examining it connects you to a global community of collectors who share the same curiosity. And if it does show something unusual, something like a strong error or exceptional preservation, then it becomes more than just a coin in your hand. It becomes a possibility. Because in the end, the true power of coins like the 1976 1-cent piece is not only in their potential monetary value, but in the stories they carry and the questions they raise. How many pass through history unnoticed? How many rare pieces are still waiting to be discovered? And how many ordinary objects in our daily lives might actually hold extraordinary secrets if we only take the time to look closely? So when you hold a penny in your hand, especially one from a historically significant year like 1976, you are not just holding change. You are holding a fragment of a larger story that connects economics, history, human error, and chance into a single small object. And that is what makes this world of coin collecting so endlessly fascinating. The journey does not really end here. It continues every time a coin is examined, every time a collector makes a discovery, and every time someone realizes that value is not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest stories, and sometimes, the most ordinary coin can remind us that hidden value exists everywhere, waiting quietly to be found.